Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emanuel, I'm a 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team, and welcome to this first livestream after Christmas. Now, just before we start, I would like to say thank you very much for all the new members who have joined my channel in the last couple of days. It turned out that their membership is a lot more popular than I initially even thought, and I'm really happy to see all you guys over here. So thank you very much, Serhan, Martin, Viper, Javier, Okala Tom, Grinning Llama, Skyworker, not to be confused with Skywalker. You know I am a Star Wars fan, do you? Paul, Simmate, Herman, Kenston, Rockspeed, William, Daniel, and the Sledge. You are all very welcome. Now, let's go straight into the live stream and let's go straight into FS2Crew, which is the new boy on the road that has just recently been released. Now, bringing FS2Crew up on the screen is always a little bit of a challenge because the panel tends to move around, so if I prepare the streaming software to show it, but then restart FS2Crew, then all of a sudden it doesn't show anymore. So, here we got it, right on screen, and this is the main panel of FS2Crew for the 737. Now, those of you who are familiar with it already from the FS Labs A320 will be well aware, but for those of you who are not, let's quickly go over a couple of the options that we do have available. Now, in order to show you guys this, I am just about going to change my display settings over here so that you get to see my entire screen instead of just the flight simulator. So here you go, including the streaming software. So, this is the config panel of FS2Crew. And I'll just quickly go over what I have set up here, because I do figure that a couple of you have asked me already, so I do want to show this as well. So, we do have our output device, which is just set to the default. We can do the audio test up here, and what is really nice, I don't know if you can see it in the streaming software, but when I hold my mouse over pretty much anything, it tells me some more details of what that stuff is about. So crew volume obviously is maximum, cabin PA is somewhat below the middle. Now, in order to hear the PAs like this in an actual 737, you need to turn on the speakers in the flight deck. And obviously we've heard the PAs 1001 times, so we just turn them off. However, for flight simulation, I'll just keep them somewhere down here so that we have them in the background. Environmental volume, that's stuff like the passengers walking in, etc. Now, interface method, that's probably the most interesting thing over here. We have button control, voice control, and auto respond. Now, what I love to use here is auto respond. In that mode, it is basically a button control. However, at the same time, the responses to all the checklist items, etc. are done automatically by the system. So I just need to click one button to start the checklist, and then the system is going to automatically respond. Now, I would love to use voice control, but unfortunately I have a few small problems with it. One of them being that the live stream would pick everything up, and I ran into some problems with that earlier already when using a different program that comes with speech recognition, so it just doesn't work 100%, so that's why I don't want to use it on the live stream. Now, I'm using auto respond, which basically is button control, so I have a primary key and a secondary key assigned over here. There are some server options, because the entire FS2Crew panel can be sent to a server, then you can access this from your mobile phone, tablet, etc., which is really nice. Then we have a lot of different accents up here in the language options, which is also really cool. So it does provide us with a lot of configuration opportunities. Now, for us, let's say we are flying a Dutch airline, so I was about to say let's take a German accent then, that's gotta be similar, but I know a lot of Dutch would be mad at me for saying that, so you know what, let's stick with the United States accent. And for the cabin crew, we'll then take let's take a German cabin crew accent. Up here, quite a couple of options, so somebody asked me earlier if there is an option to disable the first officer movement gear and flaps, and that option actually is here. So quite a lot of stuff that can be done over there, and a lot of configuration options down here. It would be too much for me to read them all out to you, so I'll just show you what I've set over here. That's setup 1, then we have setup number 2, and finally we have some callouts in here as well. So that's pretty much everything that I have set. Other stuff down here, airline call sign, that is if you are using those ATC options within FS2Crew, but they're really basic, and ATC doesn't provide any response, so since we are going to fly in VATSIM, I'm not going to use any of them today. Alright, that's pretty much the options. For the rest of the stuff, we are mostly going to see it as we fly along, but something I want to show you here is you can access the manual straight from within the program, which is something I do really appreciate. So for those who like to use voice control, if you go down here a little bit, it's going to provide you with everything that's going to happen, all the flows that are being executed, and most importantly, everything that you have to say. So all the response options when you're using voice control are right in here. That's really cool. So it makes it really nice to learn FS2Crew on the go. However, there is something more that we are going to use today, and this is the checklist assist and the flow assist. So even though this is a 737, things are still quite different in the standard operating procedures. So FS2Crew is modeling something they call a stock Boeing procedure. Now, I'm not 100% sure if something like that actually exists, because every operator is doing some modifications to their procedures. But anyway, it is quite different from what I'm used to, how we are operating the 737. So we'll have to take it from there. A few other things that I want to show you is that info center panel down here, where you can get a lot of good information on what you can and cannot do. Then you have your departure and approach brief. And down here, the captain's PAs, where you can trigger all the PAs from the captain. So that is primarily it. Hide upper panel, that's like, well, whatever it's good for. And QR codes, that is to allow access to the in-game panel from your phone or tablet, so that can be really useful as well. Also, you can pin it to the front of the screen at all times, can be really useful as well. Okay, so that is the very quick look into the FS2Crew panels that we have available. Now, the turnaround time is 25 minutes in FS2Crew, so I would say we go straight into it. We want to depart at 5 minutes after ATC comes online, and that will allow us to just about make our arrival into Helsinki on time while they still have ATC. So at this point, I am just about going to change this over once again. And I'm going to go right back into my standard view for flying. Okay, so with all of that discussed, let's head right into the aircraft, and I'm trying to explain the FS2Crew SOP to you a little bit as we fly along. Oh, interesting pushback of the guy in the back there. Well, no further comment on that. Here we are in the flight deck of our 737. So, let's start.
Let's start setting up.
Okay.
Basically, let us command the first officer to do some work for us. In the end, he's got to gain some experience, doesn't he? So, I'll click down here on Electrical Power-Up Supplementary Procedure. Now the FO is starting that procedure for us. In the meantime, as the first officer works his way around the power-up procedures, what we can do is to check out the flight plan and to decide on a fuel load that we want to carry on our flight to Helsinki. So, as always, I am using Sim Toolkit Pro for this, which in my opinion is a really useful tool. So, our flight plan is in the Papa Hotel Bravo Charlie Alpha, as we can see, and that actually is the plane that we are sitting in here as well, as you can see on the registration placard down there. It's always a good thing to cross-check that the registration is actually correct, because in here we can see fuel bias, and that is dependent per airframe. So, might be different in the 737-800 Papa Hotel Bravo Charlie Alpha than it is in the Bravo Charlie Bravo. Now let's go to the more interesting thing for us, though, and that is going to be the weather forecast. So looking at Helsinki, currently they have visibility 3000 in light snow, clouds broken 400 feet, temporarily 2000 meters visibility in snow. Looking at the forecast, the basic weather condition is wind from the east, 2000 meters light snow, broken 400, and temporarily during our approach time, visibility 1000 in snow. So that's really not very good. If we have a look into our alternate then, which is going to be Tallinn today, 3600 meters in snow, overcast 600, and for arrival time we are looking at 1200 meters in rain and snow, Broome overcast 300. So both are not very good. So let's not mess with it, and we'll just take some extra fuel there. So I would say we arrive about at the end of the event in Helsinki today on VATSIM, so I don't think there is going to be too much traffic left by then. However, nonetheless, as we might encounter some snow, we might encounter some holdings for runway clearing, etc. So I would say half an hour extra, giving me 1000 kilos, so 8.2, and then let's add another 100 for APU usage, so 8.3. I would say that makes for quite a good setup. And Gabor, hello, what yoke and throttle do you use? As a yoke, I use the Thrustmaster Boeing yoke, and as the throttle, this is going to be my very first flight using the Honeycomb Bravo throttle. So, you guys made it possible for me to get that one. Just prior to Christmas as sort of a Christmas present. So I'm very, very happy about that, and since you guys did make that possible, I'm gonna use that one today, and I will have a separate video on it, hopefully over the course of the next week or two. Okay, so that of course means that I have not calibrated anything in the throttle yet, but we're gonna manage without. A two-class cabin in here in the KLM 737, so we're gonna load it up all the way. And then we are planned at 57.5, so that means we can add 1,400 kilos of luggage. Well, let's make that 1,000 in the front hold and 400 in the aft. Okay, the FO goes out to conduct the walk around. That's very good. So, that's our aircraft loaded. Then, next thing for us. The SOPs in use from FS2Crew really look a lot like you are supposed to start your pre-flight and entering everything in the FMS when the first officer is just about to come back from the walk-around. So at this point, I would say it is a very good idea for us to go to the galley and brief the cabin crew. I mean, they're probably in their cabin preparations as well right now, but nonetheless, let's head over there and give them a quick briefing. So, some find it more useful, some less useful, but PMDG is in the progress of making the flight deck door operable. At the moment, we can't open it quite yet, however, they have removed that artificial wall so that we can walk through it. And nice to see and hear that we actually have that first class cabin. Okay, so, enough talking, quick briefing to the cabin crew. And I'm gonna do this the very same way how we would brief them in real life. So, first of all, good evening everyone, welcome to this flight to Helsinki. I'm Emmanuel, our first officer is FS2Crew, and we have a lot of Very excited people waiting for us today. We are fully booked at 160 passengers, and we are expecting a flight time of 1 hour 55 minutes. There is no turbulence forecast, but in Helsinki we do have quite a bit of snow, so there are some possible arrival delays to be expected, but we'll keep you up to date during the flight. Apart from that, we are expecting a smooth ride. I am probably going to release the passengers as standard. And taxi, as always, can be a bit of a thing here in Amsterdam, so taxi might take a bit longer. That is nothing to be concerned about. As always, if you have anything that you want to address, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, keep doing a very good job on the door handle. Make sure they are properly latched before we start the takeoff run, so that we don't get the door warning light during the takeoff. The company says it does make a difference if we tell you, so please continue doing that. Otherwise, make sure all the documents are up to date and that your personal devices are up to date. If you hear, see or smell anything, please do let us know. And if the temperatures are too hot, too cold, then give us a call as well, okay? Alright, if you don't have any questions, then we're pretty much ready in the cockpit. So just let us know when you want to start. So that was a briefing like...
Hi, the security and safety checks are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yeah, you can start boarding.
Thanks.
Alright, so they are ready as well. Perfect. So, we are pretty much ready then. EFO should hopefully come back any moment. Let's see, refueling is complete. We have everything we need on board. Let's turn the fasten belts on the emergency exit lights as well before we get the first passengers on board. Also, let's have a look at the temperatures. They are in the low 20s right now. That is acceptable. So, as soon as the passengers start coming on board, the warmth of the bodies of the passengers is actually going to heat our passenger cabin up to decent temperatures. And yes, this is the kind of stuff that you actually have to think about as a pilot. It's always incredible. At least personally, when I started flying the line, I always thought like, oh boy, this is a lot. Okay, so, Jordan, how do I like the Honeycomb Bravo? Well, it looks very good. It feels good. I've put the airline setup on it right now, and I did a little bit of configuration in the flight simulator settings, but I'm going to tell you more as we go along when I actually know more. Because this is going to be the very first flight with it. I should probably have put that in the screen description. But anyway. So our first officer should come back any moment. So while we're waiting on him, let's go ahead and start putting some stuff into the FMC. We do simulate flying for a legacy carrier today with KLM. So I suppose we are actually going to use all those uplinks today. And make a bit of fancy use of our FMS. So let's see, we want to go towards Helsinki. Select that. And contact me from Amsterdam Tower. Okay. 119225. What does he want? But anyway, let's give him a shout. Tower, good evening, KLM 59 Echo.
59 Echo Tower, hello, go ahead.
You sent us a contact me?
Affirm, when you are ready to copy your clearance, you can contact me.
Roger, then we'll call you later, 59 Echo.
Roger.
Well, okay. No idea why he wanted why you sent that contact me, but doesn't matter. And Christian, you mean low-cost carriers don't use flight plan uplink features? Well, honestly, we don't have any sort of uplinks in our aircraft. None at all. We are typing everything manually. Don't have ACARs, don't have PDC. The only thing we do have that is connecting to the outside is, of course, CPDLC, and then our operational flight data monitoring. But that is all we have. Okay, let's listen to the HOTAS to see what runway they are using over here. That's got to be 132975 normally.
I'm back. No issues on the walk around.
Okay.
0 degrees. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Clouds. Few at 1,800 feet. Scattered 2,700 feet. Temperature 8. 2.6. QNH 1004 hectopascal. No significant change. Operational report. Contact approach call sign only. Noise abatement NADP2 procedures shall be applied. Acknowledge information alpha. This is Skipple information alpha. Main landing runway 18 right. ILS approach. Main departing runway 18 left. Transition level 45. Wind 220 degrees, 15 knots. Variable between 190 and 250 degrees. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Clouds. Few at 1,800 feet. Scattered 2,700 feet. Temperature 8. 2.6. QNH 1004 hectopascal. No significant change. Operational report. Contact approach call sign only. Noise abatement NADP2 procedures shall be applied. Acknowledge information alpha.
Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. Terrain. Pull up.
This is Skipple information alpha. Main land.
Okay, so we have information alpha on board. Come on, we don't need to do that test. The FO started doing his pre-flight procedures, so we can do the very same now. Now, flying a decent airline, we're going to use Costa NX30. And reserve is going to be 2.1 at a zero fuel weight of 57.5. Flight level 370. Cruise wind 235 at 60, even though I will definitely uplink the wind later on. Transition 3001 and don't have any ISA deviation today. So let's go to the takeoff page. The set use noise abatement departure number 2 in the HOTAS, so we are going to use NADP number 2, and we can actually set that in the FS2Crew briefing panel as well already, provided that it doesn't hang up. That does seem to happen at times, but it will eventually recover and continue with its normal operation. Here we go. Okay, so NADP 2, that is pre-selected. Perfect.
TCAS test. Pass.
Okay. So that's pretty much our flight preparation completed. Well, what we can do is execute the route and then go to the datas and request our en route winds. And we can go to the forecast and request the descent winds. Okay, and that's pretty much it then. Cruise wind uplink ready. Load.
Hi, here's a fuel slip. Thanks. Welcome. Have a nice flight.
And the forecast should be here in a moment. There it is. Load. And execute. Okay, so what's really nice about the FS2Crew panel is that it tells us exactly what we have to do, so everybody can pretty much learn it straight away. So if we have a look into the flow assist up here, it tells us exactly what we need to do. So let's carry out that procedure. Master light test, Conduct, okay, so all the lights are pretty much working except the 2 pack lights, which is a known bug in the PMDG. By the way, it is funny to see that hardly anybody actually reported that in the PMDG forums. I mean, looks like nobody is doing a light test, but there you've got a reason why you are actually doing it. To figure out that this kind of stuff may or may not be working. So, EFIS control panel set. In hectopascals, we need the VORs. The QNH is already correctly preset, because our first officer did that on his side, and I'm actually syncing the left and right displays. So, we've got that. We can set our MF array up here, which is just going to be about 980-ish. Airfield elevation plus 1000. And of course we take terrain and airports. Standby instruments are set. Then we can check the oxygen mask. Flight instruments. Checked. The only thing I do notice is that anti-skid inner light up here. Apparently that comes on when the hydraulic pumps are still turned off. But well, happens. Set the nav radios. So we can just deselect whatever we've had there. We don't need any of that. Also, I will take manual control of the transponder so that it doesn't screw with VATSIM. Okay, check the trims. Find a little bit hard to check the aileron trim in here, but kinda got it to work. Just gotta be really careful that the trim is not running away. Okay, with that our preparations are complete, so let's run the departure brief of FS2Crew, and when that is done then I'm going to give you the proper briefing as I would do it in the airline.
Are you ready for the departure brief?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's going to be a standard pushback and start off the gate. Taxi route will be assigned by ATC. It'll be a left seat takeoff using an assumed temperature. Anti-ice will be off. Standard reject actions to V1 as briefed. From V1, or if the call is continue, I will continue the takeoff as per the standard company procedures. We are under our maximum landing weight, so we are okay to make an immediate return. The departure routing will be via the ATC assigned SID, complying with all published speed and altitude restrictions. We'll use NADP2. Birds are in the area, so we'll see and avoid as best we can. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
No questions.
Departure brief complete.
Okay, so that's the way how FS2Crew does it. Now, let's go ahead and check out how we would do that stuff in real life. So, threats for the departure, I don't really have any. So for the route check, it is an uplink route, and we have a length of the total flight here of 849 versus 859 in the FMC, 4.1 remaining, and we need 2.1, so there's plenty of extra fuel in there. UTC time 1045, altimeter 1003, reading minus 30 feet, flight directors are on, minus master, and standby instruments set. It's going to be a left to takeoff on runway 18, left flaps 5, noise abatement 2, and the noise abatement procedure number 2. Emergencies, we can go straight at 25 miles, climbing 3000, that's going to keep us safe, and I've drawn that 25-mile ring on the navigation display up here. Standard emergency actions, above 80 knots I will only reject for fire warning, engine failure, predictive wind chill warning, aircraft unable or unsafe to fly. If I hold stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust lever, disengage the auto throttle, apply max manual braking, verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Manually raise the speed brake lever, apply maximum reverse thrust, and when the aircraft comes to stop I set the parking brake. Now the FO would continue. If you call stop, I note the brakes on speed and call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up and thrust reverse normal indications. Call 100 knots, 80 knots, 60 knots and the runway distance remaining. Verify actions, call in emissions, I call auto brake disarm and select flap 40 when the brake has been set and advise ATC of the reject. We then identify the malfunction, carry out angels as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate, we do the evacuation checklist. Time permitting, we will pull the CVR circuit breaker. So, for the taxi, we are parking on Echo 9, let me get that one to you as well. Here we go. Parking up here on Echo 7 actually, so pushback somewhere facing to the north and then via Alpha all the way around.
Thank you.
I don't know what he said thank you for, but well, we'll take it. So we're Alpha all the way around, runway 18 left, so probably Alpha 13, November 2, and up here. That's my guess, but we'll see about it. In any case, the departure is going to be the Undic 3 Echo departure, which we have on a chart over here. Quick cross-check with that against the FMC. So, straight ahead, Alpha Mike 037, left on Alpha Mike 047, max 220, that's in. Alpha Mike 024, Papa Alpha Mike, Alpha, and then actually all the way on to Undic. Execute takeoff immediately after receiving the clearance due to converging approach and departure procedures. Remain on tower till passing 2000 and contact departure. Transition altitude 3000 versus 3001 and climb to flight level 60, which we have pre-selected once and have in here twice now. Okay, any questions for the briefing? Doesn't look like it. Then we can go ahead and call delivery for our FR clearance. Apple delivery, good evening, KLM 59 Echo information, Alpha request clearance to Helsinki.
KLM 59 Echo, clearance Helsinki, on the 3 Echo departure at the runway left, this is plan set up 60 for 3164.
KLM 59 Echo cleared Helsinki, Undic 3 Echo, runway 18 left, climb flight level 60, squawk 3164.
KLM 59 Echo, read the correct report, fully ready.
We'll go KLM 59 Echo. And Lassie, what is the...
Would you like the APU on?
Okay.
Starting the APU.
Okay, so they are starting the APU. In the meantime, we should have received our load sheet as well. So let's quickly check. 60, 60, 18 left, Undic 3 Echo, squawk 3164. Okay. Then
Pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Oxygen.
Tested 100%.
Tested 100%. Navigation, transfer, and display switches. Normal auto. Windows heat. On. Pressurization mode selector. Auto. Flight instruments.
Heading 122. Altimeter 1003.
Heading 122. Altimeter 1003. Parking brake.
Set.
Are you positive? Engine start levers.
Cutoff.
Pre-flight checklist completed.
funny how the first officer just asked, are you positive, when the parking brake was not set. Not exactly the phraseology I would recommend to use, but anyway. So, let's quickly do some performance. So, 59.5 planned, 59.5 on board, making a gross weight 65.9. Then let's go ahead and take out the virtual performance tool in order to calculate our takeoff data. Definitely one of my favorites, that tool. It's really doing a good job and is very close to the real Boeing OPT. So, then, by the way, I see a lot of questions coming in, but as we have a pretty tight schedule, I'm going to answer all of those when we're airborne, I promise. So, 18 left, let's take Echo 2 intersection. It is a dry runway, the wind is now 230 at 16. Temperature 8, QNH 1004 now, okay. And for the gross weight, we said we have 65,900, so 65,900 it is. Calculate that. Why did it lose the QNH? Here we go, so, that does seem a little excessive with the takeoff run available. Let's see what Echo 4 gives us. 2,500. Yeah, let's take that. 22k takeoff at 40 degrees. So, 22k, 40 degrees, flaps 5. We'll take the trim right from the sim. And let's compare the takeoff speeds. According to the OPT, we should have 143, 143, 147. The thing here tells us 142, 143, 145. So we have to take what is within 1 knot. So we can take the FMC for the first 2, then we take 147 on the V2. Now, FS2Crew does love to use LNAV and VNAV for the takeoff, so we are going to do a VNAV takeoff. In other words, you go on and you go on. And then we set 147 knots on the MCP as well. Okay. So let's quickly say hello to our passengers.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, this is your captain speaking. We'd like to extend our welcome on board to you today. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
So with that, I would say pretty much everybody is happy now. Let's call the ground crew. The APU is on and the first officer has connected it, so... Well, strange that you have to turn on the service interphone for
Hey
this
guys, all
FS2
packs
crew.
on board. Are we clear to close?
Yes.
Thanks. Let me know if you need anything.
Ready for pushback.
Hello there, would you kindly start talking to us? Nope.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Here we go.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
Please disconnect the GPU and air conditioning unit.
Roger. Disconnected the GPU and air.
LM59 Echo, request pushback and startup.
KLM 59 Echo information Alpha, QNH1004,
Locking gear.
ground 11.8.
121.8, QNH 1004, KLM 59 Echo. Triple ground hello, KLM 59 Echo, request push and start.
KLM
Roger. GPU and air disconnected.
Okay, that was 2 at the same time. But I think he said standby. Is there anyone behind us? Oh, it doesn't look like it. KLM 59 Echo, sorry, had some trouble reading you there. Did you say standby?
Correct.
Roger. Okay, so we've got to wait. But hopefully they'll be ready soon.
KLM 59 Echo, pushback and startup is approved.
KLM 59 Echo, pushback and startup approved. Okay.
Before start checklist.
Before start checklist. Flight deck door, closed and locked. MCP.
V2 147, heading 180, altitude 6,000.
Takeoff speeds.
V1 142, VR 143, V2 147.
CDU pre-flight.
Completed.
Rudder and aileron trim.
Free and 0.
Taxi and takeoff briefing.
Completed.
Anti-collision light. On. Before start checklist completed.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
Repressurize the hydraulics.
Roger. You're okay to pressurize the hydraulics.
Release parking brakes, please. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at wheel.
KLM 605 is ready for taxi.
Okay, and we are going.
Start sequence is 2, then 1.
Check.
KLM 605 taxi, holding point Echo 6, hold short, November 2.
We'll taxi to Echo 6, we'll hold for November 2, KLM 605.
Okay, so once again FS2Crew has some very nice options here, in that it tells us exactly what to do next. But for now...
Cabin crew arm slides and cross-check.
Let's go ahead and start the engines.
Start engine 2.
Starting engine 2. Oil pressure.
Ground KLM 31, that's back. KLM 31 taxi, holding point Echo 6, runway 18 left, via Alpha 4.
Well, put Echo 6 for me, left via Alpha 4, KLM 31.
And KLM 605, crossing at November 2, runway 27 is approved.
At November 2, cross runway 27.
Starter cutout.
KLM 605.
Please set parking brakes.
Number 2 stable.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Start engine 1.
Starting engine 1. Oil pressure.
KLM 0939er, taxi, holding point Echo 5, at Golf 5, hold short, runway 22.
Unlocking gear.
KLM 605, contact tower 119.225.
119.225, KLM 605.
Starter cutout. Number 1 stable.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. This is your person speaking. Please direct your attention to the cabin crew for the following safety
Flaps 5.
instructions. We will now demonstrate how to fasten, tighten, and unfasten your seatbelt. This aircraft has clearly marked emergency exits. All exits are equipped with slides. Floor level lighting will guide you to the marked exits. In the event of decompression, oxygen mask will be released from the panel above you. Pulling the mask down will start the oxygen flow. Place it firmly over your mouth and nose and secure the elastic strap over your head. Then assist others. Oxygen masks are also provided.
So, I don't know why, for some reason FS2Crew doesn't seem to want to do the flight control check right now.
Around the lavatories.
But we'll eventually
When
convince it.
instructed to do so, please
Let's
take
just
the life
reselect
vest,
that.
which is under your seat. Place the life vest over your head. Place the
Flight
strap
controls
around
check.
your body.
Ready.
Attach the end into the buckle at the front and pull the strap tight.
Full
Pull the
left.
right handles to inflate the life vest only
Full
after
right.
leaving the aircraft through the emergency exit.
Center.
The life vest has 2 belts
Full
to
up.
inflate or release air pressure.
Full down.
The signal lamp lights up
Center.
on contact with water.
Full
At
left.
this time, please take a view
Full
at
right.
the safety card in front of you.
Center.
Here you find
Flight
further
controls
important
check complete.
information. Furthermore, you have to comply with ordnance signs and crew member instructions. This
Before
is a
taxi
non-smoking
checklist.
flight. Smoking is not permitted
Before
in
taxi
the cabin
checklist.
or the
Generators on.
lavatories.
Probe heat
Cabin
on.
lights will now be
Anti-ice
turned
off. Isolation valve
For takeoff,
auto. Engine
if you
start
need a reading
switches.
light, you will
Continuous.
find it in the
Recall.
panel above your
Check.
head.
Checked. Auto
Thanks for
brake.
your attention.
RTO. Engine start levers.
Idle detent.
Flight controls.
Check.
Ground equipment.
Clear.
Clear. Before taxi checklist completed.
KLM 59 Echo, request taxi.
KLM 59 Echo, taxi holding point Echo 5 via Bravo and Alpha 1.
KLM 59 Echo, taxi holding point Echo 5 via Bravo and Alpha 1. Okay, so that's the taxi, which is pretty much straight out onto Bravo, and then Echo 5 is without having to cross the runway.
Clear left.
Clear right.
And KLM 59 Echo at Alpha 13 give way to KLM 787 coming from the south to the north for November 2.
KLM 59 Echo at Alpha 13 give way to the company 787 from the south to the north.
Komt, hele goede avond. Alpine 1 Alpha 2 keren door de Victor. Waarmee we aan de krijgen.
Alpine 16 Yankee Alpha Taxi Hotel 3 at Whiskey 5 Cross 18 Center.
Hotel 3 at Whiskey 5 Cross the Center, Whiskey Alpine 1 Yankee Alpha.
Okay, we are clear left and right. And guys, I see there are still a lot of questions coming in. As said, we're a little bit tight on the time as we want to make the event in Helsinki.
KLM 31 traffic information, company Boeing 737 at Bravo will give way to you.
Okay, that gotta be the 787 over there. We are number 2 behind him. So I am going to answer all those questions as soon as we're en route. We have like 2 hours of flight time, so that's not going to be an issue. Okay, that must have been the 787.
And KLM 31 at November 2 crossing runway 27 is approved.
27 is crossed. Thank you.
Flight deck. Okay, thanks. Captain, the cabin is secure.
Before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Flaps.
Flaps 5, green light.
Stabilizer trim.
6.0 units.
Before takeoff checklist completed.
KLM 59 Echo, ready for departure.
KLM 59 Echo, contact tower 119.225.
119.225, KLM 59 Echo, see ya.
And KLM 31 ready for
And KLM 31 contact tower 119.2.
Atlantic wind 2303 knots.
Good target evening, KLM 59 Echo, ready for departure.
59 Echo, runway 1 left, clear to land to wind, sorry, 59 Echo, runway 1 left, clear for takeoff to wind 2303 knots, bye bye.
18 left, clear for takeoff, KLM 59 Echo, bye bye.
Before takeoff procedure.
Okay. Cabin crew, take your seats. Clear on the approach. Ready to go.
So we're getting out ahead of the Dreamliner, that is very good.
KLM 31 holding short runway 1 left, that's KLM 31 light base, runway 1 left from intersection departure in full. What do you say again? KLM 31 light base,
Takeoff.
runway 1 left, 1 intersection departure in full. 5 on wake channel. Tower 1 for Zulu, kan hier storen mee? Even. Jo.
Thrust set.
Pakken 124, hebben we triple contact ground on 118, bye-bye. Ground 118,
80 knots.
Check.
V1, rotate. Positive rate.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Command A.
KLM 099er. Triple 5 criticals runway 04. At next
Flaps
call
1.
5, hold short runway 1 left.
Speed checked. Flaps 1 set.
First KLM 31, runway 1 left. Clear for
Flaps
takeoff,
up.
wind 2,
Speed checked.
Bye.
Skipper departure, good afternoon. KLM 59 Echo, passing 1900 on deck 3 Sierra.
KLM 59 Echo.
Flaps upset.
Climb level 130.
Climb level 130, KLM 59 Echo. Okay, that's set, and 130 is checked.
After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. Engine bleeds. On. Packs. Auto. Landing gear. Up and off. Flaps. Up. No lights. After takeoff checklist complete.
Turn right by 10
Happy to release the cabin crew?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Transition set standard.
Standard set.
And that's the center pumps there. Normally the FO should have turned them off, but doesn't seem like he's doing that in FS2Crew. Anyway, that is a standard departure using FS2Crew. So, I really have to say the first officer is a great help there, even though at times I need to tame him a little bit. But I guess he just is very inexperienced, having like his 5th day flying the line right now. And the procedures are quite a bit different. For instance, being allowed to engage the autopilot at 400 feet is something that I'm really not used to. In my airline it is 1,000 feet and not before that. And doing the VNAV takeoff is also something quite different. Overall, I really have to say, the 737 feels like an entirely different aircraft using FS2Crew. Now, I am really looking forward to the SOP set of my airline becoming available, which is eventually going to happen. 125.75, KLM 59 Echo.
KLM 59er Echo, hello, climb flight level 250.
Amsterdam radio, hello, KLM 59 Echo. We heard the call, climb to flight level 250, but that was another station calling.
Okay, KLM 59er Echo, you climb flight level 250.
FM, KLM 59 Echo, climb flight level 250.
And the other station calling, say again?
Okay, set. 250 checked.
You're a bit...
Flight level 100.
For you as well, climb flight level 240.
So, cleared above 100.
Happy to release the cabin?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let's go full blast.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now use your laptop computers and other portable electronic devices.
KLM 31, proceed direct Ninfa. Mike.
Okay, and with that, we are pretty much done with our departure now. Things will get a little easier for us. So, why don't we go ahead and get ourselves a little drink.
Hi, it's Andy at L1. How can I help you?
Hey, can you bring some water, please?
Okay, I'll bring them up in a minute.
Amsterdam radar. Hello, Stephen. 480, flight level 3, taxi 0, inbound to 3
Hi guys. Yeah,
Mountain
thanks.
Mike,
Thank you.
Juliet Hotel radar contact flight level 37, and well, I'm ready.
All right.
For the CPLT call.
Brian Crawley, thank you very much for the £4.49 donation. That is very much appreciated. Okay, so we're in the air now, and with pretty much any of the busy stuff of the flight completed now, I do have a little bit of time to answer the questions you guys have asked. I will start chronologically working backwards, so I'll start with the latest one first, and that is Lassie. Actually, that is Vlad before Lassie, so Vlad first, Lassie second. And Rockspeed, good evening, welcome. And Rockspeed, thank you so much for joining as a member of my channel as well, now that I see you here.
Hello, Speedbird 1314.
So, Vlad, when ATC gives radar vectors in real life, is it mandatory to give track miles, or should I request by myself? It is not required for ATC to give track miles. Basically, they can provide track miles at their convenience, and they don't have to, though. But you can always request the track miles.
Yeah, the ATIS will be online shortly.
Elling, in the latest update by Randasso, he talked about improvements to the cabin area. Do you know if this means something like on the level of the Phoenix? I don't know that yet. Basically, in terms of this kind of information, I only know the same that you guys know as well. And Brian, oh dear, rest in peace, Pelé. Oh no, don't tell me that just happened. Don't tell me that just happened. Trekkie Flyer, do you have any PMDG checklists? I only have a short one for startup. Well, I kept the documents from the 737 NGX. So I do have those, but due to copyright reasons I can't share them. However, PMDG basically used the standard Boeing checklists. I'll see if I can find them somewhere. And Brian, yeah, Pelé just passed away. Oh, sorry to hear that. 123, das ist Monana 25, KLM 59 Echo, bye bye. I'm radar, good evening, KLM 59 Echo, passing level 200, climbing 250 in Mount Kekix.
KLM 59 Echo, Master correction, Bream radar identified, climb flight level 350.
Climb flight level 350, KLM 59 Echo. Set. 350 checked, VNAV. Oh no, so really sorry to hear that Pelé passed away. He was a great footballer. At least he managed to see the championship, I hope. Especially with Argentina winning it. And Steve, nice to see you. Yeah, the LHKLM flight is going great. We'll find something. I'll find something to use that livery, Steve, I promise. And Net Zero Flyer, hello, so I have a general question. Flying within VATSIM, what about those legacy airports like Kaitok? Are they incorporated within the VATSIM world always, or does one have to opt for those especially? That depends. So, I can't tell you how they do it with Kaitak, but with Berlin-Tegel, for example, they say the airport no longer exists in terms of ATC coverage, but it only exists in terms of what pilots can use it, but it will be an uncontrolled airfield. So on VATSIM in Tegel you are not going to get any ATC anymore, but the airport will be treated like uncontrolled airport, like those small VFR fields. And what's that master caution? State malfunction? Master caution, air conditioning, auto fail. Oh boy. Okay, there is something wrong.
Report back.
What's that thing doing? Why is the cabin not climbing? Okay, let's stop the climb here. KLM 59 Echo, due to technical malfunction, request to stop the climb at level 240 initially.
From 59 Echo, Roger, stop climb flight level 240.
Maintaining 240 KLM.
1000 to level.
Level change. Okay, let's have the thing level off here. So, auto fail. What else do we have? Differential pressure is really high, and the cabin is maintaining ground level, very slightly climbing. So it looks like the aircraft is not pressurizing correctly. Can we see any obvious reason? We have duct pressure. Packs are auto, bleeds are on. Looks like the temperature is working though. Okay. Well then, let's do the auto fail non-normal checklist. And I'm going to cancel that master caution. So just give me a second to actually find that checklist. And here we go. By the way, guys, I did not plan this malfunction. I did not plan this malfunction. It has to be a random failure, Christian. So, auto fail. Let's put that in the search. Okay, that's it. So, auto fail or unscheduled pressurization change, non-normal checklist. Associated with the auto fail light, which may or may not be illuminated. And it is illuminated. Condition: one or more of these occur. Automatic pressurization mode has failed, or the cabin altitude is not controllable. Objective: to maintain control of cabin altitude. Increasing thrust may ensure sufficient air supply to control cabin altitude. Okay, well, we have 40 psi. We have sufficient air supply already. Nonetheless, you know what? Give me 320 knots. That's gonna give us a good increased thrust. Let's see if anything is going to happen. This, by the way, is totally unplanned, guys, so you see me doing this straight from the position how I would do it in a normal line flight right now, without having planned anything the likes. Even without expecting it to happen in first place.
133, there's 950.
Pacific 285, thank you, we'll see you.
From 59 Echo for higher contact, Maastricht radar 133, decimal 950.
Okay, LM 59 Echo for now, request to maintain level 240 due to cabin pressurization problems, and we call you back later on.
Roger.
Okay, so 320 knots, let's see if there is any difference. Duct pressure is pretty much the same it was previously, and auto fail is still illuminated, okay. The outflow valve, though, seems to be in a normal position. Okay. Well then, let's go ahead with the checklist. So, caution, one at a time. Engine bleeder switches, both verify on. So, engine bleeder switches, number 1 and number 2, on. Caution, one at a time. Allow cabin rate to stabilize before placing second switch to auto. Pack switches both, verify auto. Pack switches 1 and 2. Let's just see. I just flick them off and on again. Not in the checklist, but I'm just wondering if FS2Crew might have screwed something up there. But that's working. Okay, so verified auto. Choose one. Auto fail light is extinguished and cabin altitude is controllable. Or auto fail light is illuminated or cabin altitude is not controllable.
Christoph 5-5, Bremen.
Well, the light is still illuminated, and for now the light is still extinguished and cabin altitude... the light is still illuminated or cabin altitude is not controllable. That is the case. We take the second option. Pressurization mode selector alternate. Alternate. Go to step 5. Choose one. Auto fail light is extinguished and cabin altitude is controllable, or auto fail light is illuminated or cabin altitude is not controllable. Okay. Auto fail light is still illuminated. Go to step 6. Pressurization mode selector manual.
2014 when ready, descent
Manual.
110.
Outflow valve switch adjust as needed to maintain correct cabin altitude and cabin rate of change. Okay, so we've got to be very careful with this, as it is really sensitive system. But let's close it slightly to get the cabin climbing. Sorry, let's open it slightly to get the cabin climbing. My mistake. And the cabin starts to climb.
Trans 6788, contact Maastricht, radar 133, decimal 950.
Okay, I'll make it climb slightly faster initially. Give it something like 1,000 feet a minute. That should be maximum though. A bit less. That looks good. 900 feet a minute. Passengers are going to feel this on their ears, but it won't hurt them yet. Okay, choose one. Cabin altitude is controllable, or cabin altitude is not controllable. Well, it seems controllable to me. So, choose one. Cabin altitude is controllable. Go to step 13. Step 13, checklist complete except deferred items. And for the deferred items then, we have the descent checklist, which is pressurization, adjust outflow valve switch as needed to maintain correct rate of change. The rest is standard. That's all standard. Add pattern altitude, outflow valve, hold and open until it indicates fully open. And then we have a standard landing checklist. Okay. So it looks to me like that checklist is completed, and we need to continue with manual pressurization procedures. Okay. Then we're done with this, for now. We'll only need it later on again in the descent. And until then, we are ready with this. So let's quickly talk to air traffic control. Actually, let's quickly talk about what the problem is at all. So, let's do a quick recap. Both automatic cabin pressure controllers have failed. So we only have manual mode available to us. The airplane is not going to be dispatchable like this after we land in Helsinki. However, it is company philosophy to continue to destination if possible. And then maybe maintenance can do some magic when we are over there. So I would say for now we continue towards destination. Apart from that, the cabin altitude is controllable and is climbing right now. Actually, let's reduce the cabin rate of climb a little. Now that we have the differential pressure out of the maximum up here. Okay, that's better. So, what else is there? We can control the cabin altitude, so we can climb to higher flight levels, so we can resume our normal flight towards Helsinki shortly. I would actually say we tell ATC now that we are able to continue the climb. KLM 59 Echo.
Go.
KLM 59 Echo, we have fixed the problem and we are able to climb higher, requesting level 370 final.
KLM 59 Echo, roger, contact Maastricht 133, decimal 950.
133 decimal 950, KLM 59 Echo.
Scandinavian 457, close to break for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Maastricht radar low, KLM 59 Echo, flight level 240 in Mount Helgoland, VOR requesting 370.
KLM 59 Echo, Maastricht, Throttle identified, climb level 370.
Climb flight level 370, KLM 59 Echo. That 370 tracked. VNAV. Okay, that thing is gonna reduce the speed, but we'll let it do that. The dock pressure is normal anyway. So that's 370. We're gonna disregard this. This is inoperative now. And then we have 370 set once and set twice. Let's see, fuel-wise, we're gonna arrive at 3.7 now, so we still have sufficient fuel for the flight. And I would say that's pretty much all there is. Yeah, apart from that, what threats can we expect with this? It is going to be a little bit harder to control the cabin altitude. Yep, now it is climbing a bit faster. Let me reduce that a little. So we have to really pay close attention to this now to make sure that the differential pressure stays within limits. We have our manual plug out up here. So we're climbing to flight level 370. That is in between this. So we aim for 8,000 feet cabin altitude. And it is now at 4,500 feet a minute, so give me roughly 10 minutes to get it up to 8,000. Okay. I would say that's pretty much it. So that was very interesting and unexpected. Okay, so I would say that's pretty much that abnormal part completed for now, guys. So now I'm gonna return answering you guys in the chat there, because I will definitely use that one as a separate video. So, Steve, I bet the LH livery would not have had this problem. Yep. Christian, the FMC should show it as a failure active. Oh, well, that's a good question. Let's actually check that. No. Active failures, none. I mean, yeah, you are right. In theory, that failure should have shown active there, so it might be a misconfiguration of something in the aircraft. Let's see that once again. We ran the checklist, we checked the configuration. So, that definitely looked fine. And yeah, everything is configured correctly over here. So, theoretically, all we need for the bleeder system to work is the bleeds on and the PAX auto. And the duct pressure, of course. We need at least 18 psi for the system to work correctly, and we have 40 psi each side, so that's not a problem. Yeah, well. Okay, I don't know what caused this. I really don't know. But that is going to be something for maintenance to figure out. Angle of bank 10. So that's not going to be our problem. That's going to be maintenance problem as soon as we land in Helsinki. And Steve, look outside to verify the overwing exits are closed. At least the lights are out, but looks good to me. So, what's the cabin doing? Climbing quite a bit faster. So the cabin is at like 6,500 feet now, so we're looking at about 3 minutes. Then we reach the point where the cabin should have reached its target altitude. Let's start a timer up here that we don't forget to deal with that.
Nordic 79 Delta. Go ahead.
And Delta Fan 311, could it be a system-based failure? Yeah, I guess so. I do have the what are they called again? I do have service-based failures enabled, so I guess that is probably what caused it. And Philip, try to go back with pressurization mode selected to auto, maybe it fixes itself. That is something that is always very tempting to do, but we have very clear instruction from our airline not to do any experiments with the systems. So that resetting of the packs to off and back to auto earlier on was already something I was not supposed to do. But I just thought, in case it is a bug that FS2Crew would have misconfigured my pressurization panel, I thought maybe I can fix that bug by just flicking them again. However, that did not seem to have been the case, so we didn't need to do that. Now, apart from that, my airline is very positive about that we should not try to play around with those switches. So if it's not in the checklist, then we don't do it. And the checklist didn't tell us to try to reset it into auto or alternate, so we didn't do it either. We're just gonna keep it in manual now, and we'll just have to use manual cabin pressure then. That's how it is. René, did the passenger oxygen mask get deployed? No, they didn't. The actual issue was that the cabin did not pressurize at all. Or, sorry, that the cabin altitude did not start to climb at all. So, the indications we had was the cabin altitude was indicating 0, the small needle, and the large needle that indicates the differential pressure went into the maximum up here, which caused the pressure relief valve to open. And that pressure relief valve opening is, in the end, what probably caused the auto fail to activate in return. So, the auto fail would probably have activated by that point anyway, because obviously the aircraft was not able to get the cabin climbing. But the problem was not that we lost cabin pressure, but rather that the cabin did not start to climb. So the passenger oxygen masks are not a factor in this. Okay, apart from that, there was a question a little bit further up, why don't you tell the cabin crew? Basically, because there is nothing they can do about it. Yoke, you name it, we had too much pressure, that is correct. And Yoke, sorry.
KLM 59 Echo, leaving my S-base from Unicom, cheers.
Unicom, KLM 59 Echo, cheers. Okay, 22.8. So, yeah, this is a problem that is just not important for the cabin crew. It's something that doesn't affect them, so why tell them? Okay, so cabin is at just above 8,000 now. Let's stop that cabin from climbing. Okay, cabin is neutral now, maintaining a little bit above 8,000. Let's actually get the cabin to descend slightly, just to get it back to
1,000 to level.
Exactly 8,000. That's checked, monitoring VNAV. Okay. So with that we are pretty much sorted. Then I promised you guys I would answer your questions. And Wolfmaster, that echo is from FS2Crew? No, it's actually my microphone picking up what FS2Crew is saying. I'll mute it and you'll see. See, when I just muted my own microphone, then the thing solved itself, so then you don't hear the echo. Inventories. FS2Crew set the wrong target cabin altitude, 10,000. System window protection mode. Real world procedures do not apply to external add-on problems. Go ahead and set the correct target. Actually, inverter Ace, I do believe it was set correctly on the ground. So I believe on the ground we had 37,000 in there. However, now that we are in manual mode, it reset it itself. Oh, and now I'm descending the cabin too quickly. Let's get that back up. But I will have to review the start of the live stream later on to see if this was actually misconfigured. Because if FS2Crew set an incorrect flight out, then of course that would explain the problem. However, setting it into alternate did not fix the issue. So I'll just take it the correct way. The checklist didn't tell us to go back to auto or alternate, so we'll just use manual cabin pressure now. Makes the flight a bit more interesting as well. And then later on the ground, we'll talk to maintenance and submit the issue as normal. And inverter Ace, yeah, I am definitely going to tell Brian. But we'll do that after the live stream. So for now, we'll continue as normal, and then later on we'll check all that stuff. So we've just passed Dorsua, that means we can do a quick fuel check over there as well, as we're pretty much focused exclusively on that single problem now. So let's have a quick look. Passing Dorsua. We should be 30 minutes in the air. And we are 32 minutes in the air, but we departed from a different runway, so that makes sense. We're supposed to have 4.9 tons, we have 5.9, but we took a ton extra, so we are spot on with the fuel actually. And look at that, this is actually an FS2Crew bug. It keeps the fuel flow switch in the used position rather than resetting it. So let's return that to raid. But good to know we used 2.5 tons, we should have used 2.3, so... Actually, we did use 2.3, so we're spot on. And that's all looking good to me now. So yeah, we're doing good on the fuel. We are doing good on the time. The 2-minute delay is explainable. Con set. And with that, we are now pretty much in the cruise. So that was an interesting little adventure. Certainly unexpected. And I did try to record some more pressurization issues for my failure series anyway, so nice to see that I'm getting it now, totally unexpected as well. Sky173, if there's a pressure issue in real world, do you return or control manually? Basically as directed by the checklist, so the checklist didn't tell us to land at the nearest suitable airport, so we continue. It is general philosophy in my airline that if safety is not compromised, we should continue towards our destination. And we can see that we can safely control the cabin here. It's maintaining cruise level nicely now, so there is no reason for us to... there is absolutely no reason for us to return to our departure airport. Now, thinking this one a little bit further, we are flying a KLM flight right now, outbound Amsterdam, so of course we could return to Amsterdam to have maintenance fix the problem over there and then just make our way again. Or change the aircraft and then fly with a different aircraft. But that is something that you would consider in an airline like a legacy carrier right now. However, in my airline, they do say if safety is not compromised, continue to destination, get your passengers off over there, and then maintenance will try to do something about it over there. That is what my airline wants. Other airlines surely handle it differently, but that's the overall procedure. Then there's been a little discussion over there if Microsoft Flight Simulator should better be bought over Steam or over what am I about to say? Over Steam or over the Microsoft Store. Now, personally, I'm using the Steam version and it runs totally fine, so I see no reason to change anything over there. And Yoke, why hasn't PMDG re-released the non-normal checklist for the new MSFS lineup? Am I simply missing something? Basically the thing that is missing is a license agreement from Boeing. Boeing have said that they do not intend to give PMDG a license to give out the real world documents anymore. So that part of PMDG's agreement with Boeing has just ended or has been withdrawn, I don't know. So yeah, that is why PMDG can no longer deliver the actual flight manuals anymore. And WA Vol, interestingly, I've had 2 pressurization issues on my past 3 flights. Off-scheduled descent light on with flight out set to low level of 16,000 and 18,000, both were flights with just a few minutes at cruise. Well, just to be sure, when you set the flight out, you need to put it to your cruise level. So if you set it to a low level like 16,000, then did you cruise at 16,000 as well? Because if you cruised at a different level, then the off-scheduled descent light might come on. So just be sure that the cruise level is set correctly, and then I've never had any issues with it. Okay, then let's go up a little bit. I promised you on the ground that I would answer a couple more questions, so let me take the time to do that right now. The Master Private, what do you use to move around in the simulator like that? So I'm using the standard simulator view functions called translate view forward, backwards, left, right, up, down. And I've assigned them to the arrow keys on my keyboard, and like that I can move all around my aircraft. Like this. So that they are called, you can find them in the Microsoft Flight Simulator settings, general settings, and then it is in the views menu and called translate view. And then there you have translate view forward, backwards, and so on. That's what I'm using to move around the aircraft. And in the outside view, of course, I'm using the drone camera. Then, King JR, when do you think the 900 will be out? Well, to be honest, I don't quite know. And if I did know, I would not be allowed to share it with you. Unfortunately, but that's what it is. Then, let's go a little bit further. Martin, what is the center position of the fasten seatbelt sign used for, and is it usually placed in that center position? The center position is the automatic mode. So, with the seatbelts in auto, they are automatically going to come on when the flaps or the landing gear are extended. Now, we don't use the off position unless we're on the ground. And basically you use on whenever you want the seatbelt sign to be on. And in flight, if you want to turn off the seatbelts, put them in auto and not in off. The advantage of using auto instead of off is that you can that you have this little backup that in case you forget about them, latest by the time you extend your flaps or the landing gear, the seatbelts are automatically going to turn on. Or the seatbelt signs. So that is the idea of the auto position of the fasten belt switch. Mario ST, greetings from Cyprus. Well, greetings to Cyprus. I've just been on holiday in your country in near Ayia Napa for a week and a half, and late October, 27 degrees water temperature. What else do I need to say? Even though that was a pretty interesting tornado over there. Then Lassie, I thought cabin crew weren't allowed into the flight deck during flight. Cabin crew is allowed. The only one that's not allowed into the flight deck is the purser, because the purser is at all times responsible for what's happening in the cabin. So if anything happens, the purser needs to be in the cabin. But the junior cabin crews, they are allowed into the flight deck under certain regulation, which for security reasons I can of course not share with you. But of course, if they bring you some food, or if they bring you some water, or let's say if the pilot needs to go to the toilet, then for the time that one pilot is out for the toilet, another cabin crew needs to come into the flight deck, since the Germanwings crash. So that rule has been established back then, that at any time there need to be 2 people in the flight deck to avoid something like the Germanwings crash happen, where one pilot would do bad things while he is alone in the cockpit, so that he can't lock himself up anymore, and so on. So, yeah, cabin crew absolutely are allowed into the flight deck. And actually, that sounds like a good opportunity for me to actually call them and get ourselves something to eat.
Hi, it's Andy at L1. How can I help you?
Hey, can you bring us a couple of crew meals, please?
Okay, I'll bring them up in a minute.
Alright.
Hi guys, here are the crew meals you asked for. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Then Lassie asked a little bit earlier, what is this calculator and is there any way for us to use it? To be honest, at what time did you ask that? Was that during the takeoff calculation? If so, then that is Virtual Performance Tool, which you can find under virtualperformancetool.com, and it comes at a subscription for like €2 a month or something. It is a very, very accurate tool for takeoff and landing calculations, as well as weight and balance calculations, which really works almost identically to the real-life Boeing onboard performance tool. So, yep, you can absolutely use that. And yeah, why the 25-mile ring on the display? That was for myself, for marking the MSA around the airport, and as well to determine the point to which we would fly the plane in case of an engine failure. So, if an engine failed, then we would not continue on the normal standard instrument departure, since we would legally not be able to maintain the climb gradient required by most standard instrument departures, but instead we would just go for something easy. And in Amsterdam there is just nothing around, it's flat terrain all over, so we can just go straight ahead for 25 miles. That means we don't have to fly any turns or anything while we're working a non-normal checklist in case of an engine failure. And that STK, yeah, EFB. I wish I could tell you something, but if I have any information, then I'm not allowed to share it, unfortunately. The moment I can, you can be absolutely assured that I will. And we've just received a contact me from Malmö, 128625. Sweden, good evening, KLM 59 Echo, flight level 370, inbound Bevum. Okay, easy, problem solved, identified. And Yoke, I really need to watch your video on FS2Crew, seems like an awesome add-on. Yeah, it is. I got my first FS2Crew add-on, which coincidentally was for the PMDG 737 NGX for Microsoft Flight Simulator X like 10 years back, when it first came out, and ever since I absolutely loved it. So it does add a lot to the immersion, and whether you like to use voice control or not, of course, is up to you, but personally I'm really happy with it. The button control version and
for you. Are you ready to copy?
I'm just using it for now. So let's see, we're about to cross Bevum. Let's do another quick fuel check to make sure that we are on schedule, because the next fuel check thereafter is going to be quite a bit later at Pilum. So, Bevum. Supposed to have used 43 minutes, and we have used 45. This is the same 2 minutes we had earlier. We're supposed to have 4.4, we have 5.5. We uplifted 1,000 more, so that makes sense. And we should have used 2,820, while we have used 2,790. Okay, spot on. Also, our next FAR border is going to be at Lupet. We can surely put that in here.
Correct, manager, that whiskey and lobster, Alani, Evadi.
Oh boy, that sun is in a bad position. Trying to blind us over there. LM59 Echo, direct Lupet. Okay, Lupet. Looks good. Execute. LNAV available. LNAV. Man, that is a bad angle. We have sunshades. In real life, if this was so blinding, I would either put a sunshade in front of it, if I could. But unfortunately, in MSFS, they don't have an immediate effect. So the other solution of what I would do in real life, if this was so blinding, I would just take the normal checklist and stick it in here in the window. Or, in our airline, we have the second jump seat installed, which then is right on here. And the second jump seat has some very nice pillows in the back, and you can take those pillows and stick them perfectly in the window. You could really think Boeing designed it like that. Well, for now though, we'll just have to do it this way. Or can we do it that way as well? Yeah, we can. Okay, perfect. So we just gotta put our seat backwards a little bit, and that's the problem solved as well. Super Grumpy, what is the yellow FMC sign in front of you? That basically tells me there is an FMC message like this one. Unable 250 knots at Maram, but I'm just gonna clear that away for now. You can still fix that later. It's probably 250 or less restriction anyway. And Mo Aviation, do you think the 737-900ER is close to release, or is there lots of work to do? Well, I'm not allowed to give you any status update on exactly how the development is going, because obviously I'm under non-disclosure agreement. But, yeah. I do believe Robert said in one of his recent posts that the aircraft is slowly approaching release, but he did not give any dates, so take it with a grain of salt. You guys know how PMDG and release dates are going along. Oh, Yep, I'm really somewhat on the last leg for my flight, flying from Cologne to Louisville in a UPS 747-8. I have really nothing to do these days. Yeah. Honestly, it is pretty similar for me. Right now I'm on standby for the second day in a row. Tomorrow I have to drive to another base of my airline and then do a flight over there on New Year's Eve. Then drive back the day thereafter. Then I've got some annual leave, so I really have a lot of time as well. That's the reason why you guys get to see so many new videos these days. And Kevin, wasn't there a similar solution you have for glare used with the eyebrow windows back when they were common? Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, back in the day, people still had paper en route charts. And I tell you honestly, paper en route charts are probably among the best things that you can get in aviation to use as a sunshade. So those en route charts typically would fit into the entire windscreens. Or you could just stick them up here And yeah, that is exactly what people used. So in the end, this was pretty nice that Boeing finally decided to get rid of those eyebrow windows and fit the coverings instead. Now, all we need is a proper solution for them for the primary windows as well. Unfortunately, we don't have that at the moment though, so we need to work on what we have. And 737 and G123, I'm doing Rovaniemi to Helsinki, might see you. Yeah. I still have, let's see, an hour and 5 minutes to go, so if you arrive anytime soon, in that time, hour and 5 minutes, then we might probably see ourselves on the approach. And Yoke, why did the eyebrow windows exist in the first place? I heard celestial navigation is the reason once, but that was back in the very classic versions. Well, honestly, yeah, that was exactly the reason. They used them for some celestial navigation, but it was really left over of the early days of the Boeing 707 and 727, and it wasn't really used for anything else. But they were there, they saw no reason to change it, so they kept them. And I mean, we still have the airframe designed like it over here. Now they put the jacks for the headset in there, so they actually get to grab these things quite a lot as we are using our own headsets at my airline. But that's what they're good for. Anyway, let's take a small moment to actually have a look into the pressurization system once more, because it is still climbing at 100 feet a minute and we're at 9,000 feet right now, so controlling that thing really is a bit of work here. Let's get that down, come on. Not that quickly. Come on. Setting that cabin rate of climb accurately really is a bit of a pain in the 737. Basically, a small flick like this in the real aircraft would give you 500 feet a minute rate of climb or rate of descent. Obviously, we don't want it that bad in the simulator, because in real life it is easier to interact with the switch than it is in the sim, but controlling that rate is a little bit of a pain if you have to do it manually. So yeah, definitely need to keep an eye on this, so that we don't accidentally get the cabin above 10,000. Even if we did, the cabin altitude would still just come back normally. By the way, I just received a message here that actually I just received a message from one of the developers of the 737 saying that he reviewed my stream earlier on to check what happened here, why we got the auto fail in first place. And during the pre-flight, the flight alt and land alt were set correctly. When we ran the pre-flight checklist, which is the point where we are checking this, those stuff were set correctly. But later on, FS2Crew during the taxi out reset them to 10,000 feet. So it is an FS2Crew bug that caused this to happen. So I'm definitely going to submit a support ticket for that to Brian, so that he can fix that in a future FS2Crew version. So now that we know the cause of it, we could theoretically just reset it and go back into auto mode, but honestly, like I said earlier on, the checklist doesn't direct us to do so, so I'm going to do it right by the checklist, and I'm going to keep it in manual mode up here. And we'll use manual pressurization for the entire remainder of the flight. Okay, just keeping a close eye on this. 300 feet a minute rate of descent on the cabin. Almost at 8,000. You know what, let's try to get that back to neutral. There we go. That's good enough for me. Something like 50 feet a minute rate of descent, so don't have to worry about it for the next half an hour or so. But yeah, that is how these things go. They always happen when you don't expect them to happen. Rejigs, why are you on manual pressurization? If you haven't seen it earlier on in the stream, we've got pressurization auto fail light, and we ran the associated non-normal checklist, which directed us to use manual pressurization. Andrea, is there a way to get the orange pressurization panel in the PMDG? Unfortunately not. PMDG does already simulate 2 different panels, but unfortunately not the very old one. Even though I do figure it would just be a change of the font up here. No, actually looking at it, this one looks slightly different as well. So this is kind of the intermediate one, and then PMDG of course simulates the new option as well. But we don't have that installed in this particular airplane. Unfortunately, the very old one, the orange one, is not simulated.
Airline 727, thank you, and monitor unit come 1 to your estimate. Goodbye.
737 and G123, do you have the anti-collision light on or off in de-icing? You would typically have it on.
Control, good evening, Airline 3, Charlie, Juliet, flight level 340, ETC available.
Airline 3, Charlie, Juliet, thank you, and confirming.
Christian, question about the ATC call sign versus the company flight number. How is the ATC call sign coming from or created? The ATC call sign is typically either assigned by Eurocontrol, or the airline just has to come up with something, but it's somewhat in the middle. In most cases the airline just draws it up, but Eurocontrol does run some checks on it to make sure that there are no similar call signs on any given frequency at any given time. However, it does happen. I've had it happen myself. I think our call sign was something like 57 Hotel Charlie, something of the likes, and at the same time there was a Qatari 57 Hotel Charlie on the frequency as well. So that Qatar Airways had the very same call sign that we had, which is of course something that is absolutely not supposed to happen. So those call signs are created in order to avoid that from happening, but it does nonetheless. So in general the airline comes up with something. Some airlines also have call sign systems. For example, NetJets has a certain call sign assigned to every aircraft. Like, let's say for example 57 Victor X-ray as an example. But when NetJets flies into an airport that requires 118.4, KLM 59 Echo, bye bye. I'm gonna continue that explanation in a second, just have to check in with the new controller. Bean control, good evening, KLM 59 Echo, flight level 370 in Mount Lupet.
KLM 59 Echo, good evening, speed and control, radar contact.
Okay, so
8578, speed 270 knots.
That's so yeah, NetJets, when they are flying into an airport that does require a slot, then they use 3 numbers followed by a letter. So for example, fraction 507 X-ray. But that is for all airports that require a slot, and if they fly from and to an airport that don't require a slot, they use that standard call sign they have assigned to each of their aircraft.
1706, copy it, thank you.
Alexander, hello, can you demonstrate the functions of the clock? Well, not really, to be honest, and there is a reason for that, so I can quickly give you some basic explanations.
976, contact Helsinki control, 121.3.
The really important ones we have up here is you can change the time and date, but that is tied to the time and date in the simulator. So if I went into this now and changed the time and date, then my time and date in the flight simulator would change as well. That's why I don't want to demonstrate this. The plus and minus buttons are basically used to adjust what we have brought up over here. Then those 3 are the buttons that we basically use all the time. We have our elapsed timer, which you can start and stop, and the elapsed timer is what we use to time our entire flight. Then of course you have the reset button that just resets the elapsed timer to 0. Then you have the chrono button, which is basically also a timer, but it is used in a little, let's call it less active way. So this one actually gives you the pointer over here, indicating you the seconds, which the elapsed timer does not. So this is what you would use for anything short that you have to time. Such as, for example, when you start the takeoff, you activate both the elapsed timer and the chrono, as that will bring both timers in effect. The elapsed timer is going to remain on for the remainder of the flight, while I do reset the chrono as soon as my engines have changed from takeoff thrust into climb thrust. So I use that to time my takeoff thrust, as we are only allowed to use takeoff thrust for a maximum of 5 minutes, and thereafter have to go to climb thrust. The TCSR button up here is one that does actually not exist on the real aircraft, as it stands for a time compression simulation rate, and I have a separate tutorial coming up for that particular button that is currently available to members of the channel and will be available to everybody in a couple of days' time. By the way, talking about members of the channel, for those of you who haven't seen it yet or who just joined the live stream, I have recently enabled channel membership for everybody who is interested, with 3 different options. The basic one just is a little supporter option. You can use that if you like what I'm doing and if you want to support the channel, while at the same time you get some badges next to your username on my channel and stuff like that. Now, you also get priority answers on the chat in the live stream up here, by the way. Now, in the second class for channel membership, you get early access to new videos, like the one explaining how to make best use of time acceleration, or for example a full flight in the longitude across the Atlantic. And you also get some custom wallpapers. And finally, the last option is one where you can request custom videos to be created. So if you choose that option, then once per month you can request me to do a particular video that you would like to have, like for example an explanation on a certain topic, or an approach to a certain airport, or a particular type of approach, etc. Of course, limited to the aircraft that I actually know, so primarily the 737, but Airbus aircraft and the MD-80 as far as I know.
Skinnerman 031, contact Helsinki, control 121.3.
And the bear, so that's why you don't answer my questions, it's pay only. To be honest, let me try to... Okay, the bear, you just started posting those questions, you know, while I was doing some general explanations. That's the reason I didn't answer you earlier. So, do allow a little bit of time here, because while I'm explaining something, I don't always want to interrupt everything as we are waiting for...
Please listen before you talk, if there's any other conversations.
So anyway, the bear, I might just about answer you now. So, the first I could just find from you here is it true that when you have in-flight meals, you have different meals to that of the first officer, in case food would make a pilot unwell? Well, there is no general rule like that in any of my airline's manuals, but I do know that there are airlines who do make that happen. In my airline, however, it is standard that you just bring your stuff along yourselves and don't get any food on board, because we actually have to pay for any crew meals. So basically, the way it works in my airline is that crew can purchase any meals the very same way and for the very same price as passengers do. So people hardly buy any food on board, and normally we bring our own food and the cabin crew can warm it up in the oven. Then you had another question there, the bear. Is there any small chance that PMDG would ever develop a 737 Classic series? Honestly, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
It works like this when you tune a new frequency. You listen for 5 to 10 seconds, and if there is any conversation going on, you don't step on them, please.
737 and G123, do I contact approach or center for IFR clearance? On VATSIM it always works top down, so the lowest unit responsible for your airport is the unit that you are going to contact. Of course that's a delivery if they're online, but if there is only a tower or an approach unit, then you call the tower if they are online, otherwise you call the approach. And if there is neither if there is neither delivery, ground, tower or approach only, then you would call center.
2064, report level. Level 19ers, 0.
Alexander, do you have a favorite livery for the 737? That's a good question. No, I don't. Because honestly, the favorite livery is always the one that I'm currently flying. So right now, it is, for quite obvious reasons, the KLM 737. But there are so many great liveries available. And as a pilot, honestly, it doesn't matter that much to me. It really doesn't matter that much. We look into the cabin. Oh boy, it's running away once again. Come on. Stop descending.
Good evening, speeding control and radar contact.
What's it doing now? Ah. Those bloody click spots. Here we go, that's better. Man, those click spots are really...
Can you please move your microphone a little bit closer to
I've got to submit another report for those click spots after the live stream. Here we go. Now the cabin is going back up. This is really annoying. This is really annoying. I need to make it a habit to check this like every 2 minutes or so. Let's start a timer. Every 2 minutes, I'll check the cabin pressure from now on.
Sorry, I have a problem with internet connection and continue to send to patrol 1.
And yep, as a Dutchman, good man. Yep, the Flying Dutchman.
Approach 126 to 7650. Contact 126.
And Rhinoceros, what's it doing now? We normally hear this on the Airbus. Yep, but believe me, you do hear it on the 737s as well. You really do hear it on the 737s as well. Lucas, when do you activate or disable the packs, or pretty much what does a pack do? Okay, if you want the full explanation on what a pack does, then I have done a separate system video on the pressurization system of the 737, in which I give the full explanation. Now let me give you the quick explanation, and the quick explanation is this. The bleed switches provide bleed from the respective turbines, so either from the engines in case of bleed 1 and 2, or from the APU in case of the APU bleed. The packs pretty much are the system that cools that very hot air from the cabin down and brings it to a temperature where it is not going to burn any of those passengers. And the packs then introduce a set amount of air into the cabin, which is basically always the same amount of air. And then you have the outflow valve over here, which regulates how much air can leave the cabin. And by regulating the amount of air that exits the cabin, while keeping the amount of air that goes into the cabin constant, we can regulate our cabin pressure. So we've got 1,000 to go on the cabin altitude, 500 feet a minute, that means 2 minutes to go. Let's reset that timer.
Nose 426, Cookland, speeding control, radar contact, cleared Xelan 5 Tango, from 826, descent.
And rejects, kind of a meta question, but do you, sir, watch any other flight sim or aviation content creators' videos? Actually, yes. I do like a lot of the accident analysis videos from Mentor Pilot, for example. Just like I've used quite a couple of Mentor Pilot's videos for my preparation for the interviews, for example. He had a really good video back then called How to Be a Good First Officer. I really liked that one during my initial pilot training. And apart from that, I used a lot of the videos of Blackbox 711 when I tried to learn the Phoenix Airbus. I used, well, used is good, but for example, I inspired getting the Thrustmaster Yoke from the video of Flight Deck to Sim. So, yeah, I do occasionally watch some of the other Flight Sim YouTubers' videos as well. You know, there is a tendency in the Flight Sim community to say that it always has to be one against the other. So, PMDG against Phoenix, Flight Sim YouTubers against one another, who is the best. But in my opinion, that is not at all how it goes. Like, you can love Mentor Pilot, you can love Flight Deck to Sim, you can like so many great YouTubers, and you know what? I actually think it is best if you do like many and not just one. So if you love to watch my channel today, once this live stream has finished, head over to Flight Deck to Sim and have a look at his videos on the 737. After all, what you hear on this channel is the opinion of one pilot. What you hear on another channel may be the opinion of another, and they are not necessarily the same. So, in my opinion, the more channels you watch, the better of a big picture you get. And after all, giving you the best possible big picture. That is what I try to achieve with my channel as well. But obviously, a big picture can't come from a single person. Hope it makes sense. So another 2 minutes over, let's check that cabin. Why is it at 9,000 now? Oh boy. Let's get it back down. And somebody asked earlier on why I don't advise the cabin crew of this little problem that we have over here. I answered to that because they are probably unlikely to notice. And because it's just not an issue that is of any concern to them. Now, with the cabin become a little bit harder to control right here, I might as well give them a call and just let them know.
Hi, it's Andy at L1. How can I help you?
Hi, it's Emmanuel here. Just let you know, we do have a small problem with the cabin pressurization system, and you might feel your ears pop a little bit more often than what you're used to. That's nothing to worry about. That is all, well, all under control, so nothing to worry about at all. We're going to continue normally, and we'll eventually make our way towards Helsinki just about on time. However, be aware that the rates of descent and rates of pressurization change in the cabin might get a little bit more excessive when we start our descent, so you might feel your ears pop a little bit more. Okay, and that is all there is to say about this to the cabin crew. And the bear, this is the best content. I only found your channel after I purchased the 737-800 and did a YouTube search to find support. Well, first of all, thank you very, very much for your very kind words. And I really appreciate that you like the videos.
Present 2800 cleared ILS, runway 12, Scandinavia 206.
Lucas Arman, do you think you can make a video where you kind of go more in-depth with the United States IFR clearances and the European ones, as I'm more confident with the European ones, not with the US ones? To be honest, I'm not too good with the US ones as well, so I can tell you everything about the European ones, but I wouldn't say that I feel confident enough on the US IFR procedures that I would want to make such a video, because I couldn't assure that the content would actually be accurate. And yup, I've been hooked on the old school air crash investigation and Mayday documentaries that I watched when I was younger. Very entertaining, educational, and of course tragic. Yeah, certainly, but it's kind of funny. Just a few weeks back I started watching those Seconds from Disaster videos again as well. Just today I watched the one of United Airlines Flight 232, the DC-10 that lost the number 2 engine due to the fan blade failing, that lost all 3 hydraulic systems. That was... Honestly, I would not want to be a captain on that flight. Really.
707, I'll call you back. You are number 2 for departure.
I would really not want to be captain on that flight. But they did an amazing job. And the sheer coincidence that they had a type rating examiner on board for the DC-10 as well on that accident. I mean, how much luck do you have to have? And the fact that they managed to bring that airplane more or less down on a runway and that more than half of the people on board survived that crash really is an exceptional job of the pilots. Okay, we've got like 100 miles to go to our top of descent, so we can slowly start preparing for the arrival as well. So another quick look at the cabin, cause that is totally acting up. Nope, we are kicking it right back into the safety relief valve here. Let's bring that cabin back up. Really feels like we need to have a look at that like at least once a minute. Obviously in real life we would just delegate flying the aircraft and handling the systems. So one pilot would focus on flying the airplane, which is pretty much the part that I am doing right here in the simulator, while the other pilot would be handling the system. And that would of course make your life a lot easier. So let's set that timer again. Now once a minute we'll have a look at the pressurization system, because otherwise that is just not working.
So I call you back.
Yeah, I'm in direct communication with him. He's just going through his checklist. I'm patient as we need.
And
thank you.
We are really high up north right now, so might as well turn the lights on. It's a pity, I set the time in the simulator to early noon, 11 AM local, in order to make it to land in Helsinki during daylight hours, and nonetheless the sun is already on the way of going down. Well, we are gonna make it in daylight, I'm certain about that.
In control, Canary 863, but level 360.
Scott L94, hope you enjoy the coffee. Thank you very much, Scott. That is really appreciated. 3 coffees. Thank you so much, Scott. I absolutely will enjoy it. It will certainly keep me awake during the remainder of the stream, and hopefully also during controlling this pressurization system. So, that is still performing good. And in the meantime then, let's have a quick look into this.
Taxi and land up runway 16 via backtrack.
I'm gonna request those winds today. It is 135075.
Hotel 180, we're passing through 2,300 feet up to flight level 90.
Hotel 180, thanks, speeding ground, radar contact, translate over the straight.
Let's try to see if we can actually understand that ATIS.
310 from north there, shuttle 180, thanks.
You have control.
I have control.
Talk to you later. Scanner 68, and ready, descent to flat level 100.
When ready, descent to level 100, Scanner 68.
Okay, information Sierra, they are in IMC at the moment, visibility is 1800 in moderate snow, broken clouds 300, temperature 0, dew point 0, QNH 1000. Well, that means we need to apply cold temperature corrections, so how about we start doing that straight away. Okay, so what do we have then? Let's see, Lockwood 7 Mike, runway 15, that is definitely what we'll need. And that is Lockwood, Marom, below level 120, max 250 knots. Okay, let's change that. That should clear that scratch pad message that we had earlier as well. Then VPAP below 100, Helpo above 3000, and the MSA is 2200. So let's see, that is 2000 feet, and the temperature is 0, so let's see, cold temperature correction, airport is at, sorry, MSA is 2000 feet above, temperature at the airport 0, so 120 feet on top means the corrected MSA is going to be 2320.
Go ahead.
I'll just put that in here as a reminder. So any altitude below that needs to be corrected. So we can take those, make that a 2120 above and 2120. Missed approach, we'll climb to, let's have a look into the chart and see what they're about to say. Climbing 2000 feet, so we need to correct that missed approach altitude, so let's put 2120 in here, which we can't, in here, can't. We actually can't put that anywhere, okay, well then we have to remember. So we're gonna make it 2200 for the missed approach altitude. Cabin doing 9000 again.
Nej, det är ingen fara. Det är många som verkar ha det problemet just nu, men jag tror det funkar om du laddar om det igen. Okej.
Okay, cabin more or less at 0, 9000 feet, that is okay. As long as it doesn't keep climbing, I can live with this. Let's see, we have about 500 to go, 61.2.
KLM 5 Enrico, contact Helsinki control 121.3.
I confirm 121.3, KLM 59 Echo.
FM 121.3, Helsinki control.
121.3, KLM 59 Echo, good night.
Good night.
Helsinki control, good evening, KLM 59 Echo, flight level 370 in Mount Lupet.
KLM 59 Echo has control, ready contact. Expect a runway 15.
Runway 15, KLM 59 Echo.
Jet flight 11 at Alpha ready. Jet flight 11 with 1330 degrees 20 knots, runway 12.
Okay. So, what do we need then? Course is 144. And 144. Frequency is 109.1. And 109.1. We have any VOR for missed? Not really, so let's just tune Helsinki 14.2. And here we go. Okay. Finally, could make use of some taxi charts as well, I suppose. Yep. And that's all we'll need. Okay, so the first thing you guys are going to hear now is the briefing from FS2Crew. So let me show you how to prepare that. And here we have it. So we'll use a star. The runway is going to be contaminated. We'll use the APU with a delayed start. ILS approach, order break 3. Well, for the threats, weather is a threat. Missed approach altitude is going to be 2200. FAF 2120.
Runway 85.
Club 30 landing, no single engine taxi under these conditions. It is going to be the final sector of the day. Bleeds on, parking at a gate, and for the minimum, let's see what we have there. 363, 200 above the field, cold temperature correction,
Radar contact.
means we need to add 20. So we end up 383.
9 Juliet Whiskey, Quebec, T13, Mike arrival, runway 15, when ready, descent flight level 100.
Okay, so let's have FS2Crew do the briefing for us.
Are you ready for the approach brief?
Okay.
The arrival routing will be via the ATC assigned star, complying with all published speed and altitude restrictions. For an ILS approach, planning a flaps 30 landing. Final approach fixed altitude is 2,100 feet. Decision altitude is 383 feet. Missed approach altitude is 2,200 feet. Runway condition is contaminated, so leave the flaps down till we can have the flap tracks inspected. Taxi route in will be assigned by ATC. We'll be arriving at a gate. We'll use the APU, but please delay the start until my command, as we have a long taxi in. The current weather poses a threat. We won't rush any procedures today. Descent speeds and navigation radios are set. Airport NOTAMs have been reviewed. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
No questions.
Approach brief complete.
Okay, so that was the way how FS2Crew would be doing the briefing. Now the first officer is doing his setup procedures. And as soon as he's done with that, we will quickly do our approach briefing. We will quickly say goodbye to the passengers, and thereafter we'll do our own approach briefing.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, we will be starting our initial descent shortly. Again, thanks for flying with us today. We appreciate your business.
Hi, it's Andy at L1. How can I help you?
Hi Andy, just to let you know, we'll start our descent in a few moments.
I have control.
You have control.
Descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Pressurization. Landing altitude is 200 feet. Recall. Checked. Auto brake. Level 3. Landing data.
VREF 144. Minimums 383 feet.
VREF 144. Minimums 383 feet. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Descent checklist completed.
KLM 59 Echo, request descent.
KLM 59 Echo, cleared Lockwood 7 Mike arrival, runway 15, descent flight level 100.
Blackwood 7 Mike arrival, Romeo 15, descent flight level 100, KLM 59 Echo. Set. 100 check, enough path. Okay, we start the descent, so that means we have to start getting our cabin down slowly. Something like 200, 300 feet a minute should normally be good. Something like this. But we have to keep an eye on this. I'm gonna use the timer here, and once a minute we'll have to check the cabin pressurization. In the meantime, of course, something that FS2Crew can't know anything about, that is the deferred descent checklist. Let's go ahead and do that. So, deferred items descent checklist. Pressurization, adjust alpha valve switch to maintain and correct cabin altitude and cabin rate of change. So we are going to do just that. Okay, apart from that, recall checked, auto brakes 3, landing data, VREF 144, minimums 3 at 3, approach briefing completed, deferred items descent checklist complete. Next up is going to be the approach checklists. Pretty much from here, the only thing we need to care about in the non-normal checklist is at the pattern altitude, outflow valve switch hold and open until the outflow valve position indicates fully open. So with that, we pretty much can get rid of the non-normal checklist right now.
Delta Kilo, contact Helsinki radar 119.1, bye.
Helsinki radar 119.1, Finland 9 Delta Kilo, goodbye.
Technos T5, contact Rovaniemi radar 129.9, bye.
129.9, red nose 2524, good evening, bye.
Helsinki Control, North Shuttle 180, good evening. We are on flight level 290 up to 310.
North Shuttle 180, Helsinki Control, radar contact. After Amrot, dark Lockwood, Lima Alpha, Kilo Uniform Tango, follow the Lockwood 7 Mike arrival, runway 15.
North Shuttle 180, if you could repeat the arrival, if you could spell it out for us one more time after automotive.
After Amrot, dark Lockwood, Lima Alpha, Kilo Uniform Tango, follow Lockwood 7 Mike arrival, runway 15.
Alright, after our Amrot, we will direct to Amrot and we'll follow the Amrot 7 Mike arrival for runway 15.
So as the density of the air outside changes, that means that our cabin rate of descent is going to vary with the same outflow valve position. So we kind of have to do this one manually here and have to readjust it all the time as we come down in the descent, making things a little bit more interesting for sure.
Jet flight 11, you can expect a runway 15.
Runway 15, jet flight 11.
Still using that timer, basically every time the timer passes the 12 o'clock position, I have planned to have a look at the pressurization right now, in order to keep stuff under control. I can put some engine anti-ice on.
Confirm, do you want to stay at flight level 290? I see your flight plan has requested flight level 310.
Yeah, if possible. We'll stay at 290 if that works for North Shuttle 180.
Roger, 290.
Let's see, what rate of descent do we need in the cabin? We arrive on the hour, which is in 20 minutes, and we need to lose 6,500 feet. Divided by 20 minutes, that is roughly 300 feet a minute. Let's bring that cabin to 300 feet a minute and try to keep it there. So, let's think about it. Is there anything else we need to do? Of course it is going to be a big threat to our arrival that this thing here is gonna distract us. And it is gonna distract us a lot. So, keeping the cabin rate under control is important, but we have to be careful that we don't neglect flying the airplane for that.
Lufthansa 9 Juliet Whiskey, contact Helsinki radar 119.1, bye.
Continue 119.1.
But we won't need those anymore. We'll keep the anti-ice on until we are pretty much on the ground, I suppose.
Lufthansa 1 Romeo Papa Helsinki Control, radar contact, expect runway 15.
Finnair 707, flight level 21,000, climbing to 35,000.
Finnair 707 Helsinki Control, radar contact. After Amrod start Lockwood, Lima Alpha Kilo Uniform Tango, follow Lockwood 7 Mike arrival for runway 15.
Finnair 707, go for lock you 7 Mike, arrival runway 5.
Finnair 707, so I put it in text for you. So after Amrod, direct Lockwood, follow Lockwood 7 Mike arrival for runway 15.
Hey, what's that cabin doing? Coming along nicely. 5,000. And we have how much longer to fly? 17 minutes, so 300 feet a minute actually is a pretty good rate of descent.
Finnair 55 Lima, cleared a Nepix 2 Charlie arrival, runway 21, when ready, descent to flight level 100.
Nepix 2 Charlie arrival, runway 21, when ready.
Basically what we are going to do is to bring that cabin altitude down to down to 3,000 feet-ish. And then when we are actually at 3,000, we're going to open the outflow valve fully. That is pretty much what the checklist tells us as well.
Lufthansa 1 Romeo Papa, cleared Divan 3 Mike arrival, runway 15, when ready, descent flight level 100. Lufthansa 1 Romeo Papa, cleared Divan 3 Mike arrival, runway 15, when ready, descent flight level 100.
Divan 3 Mike arrival, when ready, flight level 100.
Lufthansa 1 Romeo Papa, confirm when ready, descent flight level 100.
How do you hear Lufthansa 1 Papa?
I hear you 5x5, but the transmission was cut off.
Okay, sorry. When ready, descent to flight level 100, Divan 3 Mike arrival.
Thank you. Finnair 601 radar service terminated after SOTIT continue descent 3,500 feet on KNH 1005, transition level 65.
Minus 10, but no ice on the wiper yet, so we should be good.
KNH 1005, transition level 65 in 601.
Finnair 601, report ELPET.
Will go Finnair 601.
KLM 59 Echo, contact Helsinki radar 119.1, bye-bye.
119.1, KLM 59 Echo, bye.
North Shore 180, when ready, descent to flight level 100.
Helsinki radar, good evening, KLM 59 Echo, information Sierra, descending flight level 100 in Mount Lockwood.
KLM 59 Echo, Helsinki radar contact.
Oh, 4,000 feet cabin altitude. Sounds quite good to me. Seatbelts are on already. And guys, what I'm going to do, I will keep using FS2Crew for the standard calls, and everything non-standard I will just go ahead and do myself.
Santa 9 Juliet Whiskey, contact Helsinki, arrival 119 or 79
Continue with 119 and
We select that. So another quick look into the non-normal checklist. We've done the deferred descent checks. Next up is going to be the approach checks. Then at pattern altitude, open the outflow valve fully. Landing checklist is normal. Okay. Cabin is coming down nicely, approaching 3000.
$1,000 to level.
Interesting that VNAV wants to be so incredibly low here already.
KLM 59 Echo, flight direct Airline.
KLM 59 Echo, direct Elkun. Hey, that looks good to me. Execute. LNAV available. LNAV. Keep 250 knots for now.
Cabin crew, prepare for landing. Flight level 100.
It's getting quite dark outside. Let's put the logo light on as well.
59 Echo, descend 5,000 feet, QNH 999.
KLM 59 Echo, descend 5,000 feet, QNH 999. Okay, set. 5,000. Level change.
Weather 4324 Helsinki radar contact, climb level 280. Runner 21 Papa Juliet Helsinki radar contact. You are cleared for the Inter 8 Mike arrival runway 15. Descent for level 120.
Well, let's do a bit of basic mathematics. 29 miles to run. We have 9 times 327 plus still have to lose 50 knots plus 10 knots tailwind. That means should have 35 miles, so we're actually quite high. The VNAV path seems to be quite accurate over here. In other words, let's go ahead and use that speed brake a little.
KLM 59 Echo, contact Helsinki arrival 119.9, good night, and hi to the stream.
119.9, KLM 59 Echo, thank you very much, bye bye.
All electronic devices must be switched to flight mode. Larger devices such as laptops must be securely stopped. In order
I think you're rather good evening, KLM 59 Echo, inbound Elcom descending 5000.
KLM 59 Echo, descend 2000 feet via Airline, clear for ILS approach runway 15, report when established.
KLM 59 Echo, descend 2000 feet via Elcom, cleared ILS 15, will go. Okay, set, 2000 checked.
Lufthansa 9 Juliet Whiskey via Sultax and Elakun, cleared for ILS approach runway 15, report when established.
Oh, cabin is down at 2000. Let's keep it there.
Lufthansa 9 Juliet Whiskey via Sultax, cleared ILS 15, report established.
Transition set altimeter 1000.
1000 set.
Approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters
1000 set.
1000 set. Approach checklist completed. Flight deck. Okay, thanks. Captain, the cabin is secure.
Actually, the altimeter should have been at 999, so my mistake, I set them incorrectly there, and of course FS2Crew can only read out whatever they see is actually active.
Finnair 9 Delta Kilo establish status 15.
Finnair 9 Delta Kilo, contact tower 118.6.
Tower 118, Finnair 9 Delta Kilo, have a nice evening, goodbye.
Bye.
So the cabin is down at 2000 feet. We're going to keep the cabin there, and when we're passing 2000 we're going to open the outflow valve fully.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1 set.
Flaps 5.
Speed checked. Flaps 5 set.
Sensible indications, Patron.
Juliet Whiskey, speed 180 knots or less until 60 ME.
25.
Radio altimeter alive. Cabin crew, take your seats.
KLM 59 Echo established.
KLM 59 Echo, contact tower 118.6, good night.
118.6, KLM 59 Echo, good night. Hello, KLM 59 Echo, established ILS 15.
KLM 5 Scott Amsterdam, good evening, wait 127 at cruise 13, runway 15, possible approach number 1.
Continue. Okay, so the cabin is roughly at 2,000 feet. Let's go ahead and do that additional deferred item. Outflow valve, hold and open until the valve shows fully open. And it's fully open, cabin is depressurized.
Final approach fix. Height checked. Missed approach altitude is set.
Gear down, flaps 15.
Speed checked. Speed brake up, gear down. Flaps 15 set.
Flaps 25.
Speed checked. Flaps 25 set.
Flaps 30.
Speed checked. Flaps 30 set.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Engine start switches.
Continuous.
Speed brake.
Armed.
Landing gear.
Down.
15
Flaps.
dead land, KLM 5
Flaps 30,
Echo.
green light.
Landing checklist completed.
So we are all stable, there is no icing, we already see the ground, that's a good sign.
Cleared.
500 feet.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Speed brake up. Reversers normal. Auto brake disarmed.
Manual braking.
60 knots.
Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, just landed at our destination. Please keep your seatbelt fastened as you reach the final parking position. And fasten
1-1 is Malate, KLM 59 Echo, bye bye.
Please open your orifice careful to avoid luggage falling out. Also refrain from smoking in the designated smoking area in the terminal building. On behalf of the entire crew, would like to say goodbye to you now. It was a pleasure fun having you aboard today, and we hope to see you soon one of our flights. Thanks once more. For you all the best, take care. Cheers and bye-bye.
And hello, KLM 59 Echo, runway vacated.
Hello KLM 59 Echo, please taxi forward and vacate the runway completely.
KLM 59 Echo, we are on contaminated surface, this is maximum taxi speed.
Roger, KLM 59 Echo, welcome to Helsinki. Taxi via Delta Hotel and Alpha Delta, stand 16.
Delta Hotel and Alpha Delta, stand 16, KLM 59 Echo. Okay, so let's see. We go. Can we read anything? Yeah, looks like Delta is the second ahead. Okay, I'm 59 Echo. Our charts currently failed to load. Confirm Delta is the second to the right.
KLM 59 Echo. Taxiway or intersection Delta Hotel is right ahead, and then turn right on Alpha Delta, taxi to stand 16.
Perfect. Straight ahead, then right on Alpha Delta, stand 16, KLM 59 Echo. And sorry for the slow speed leaving the runway, but I have a feeling the separation applied by the approach controller was just not sufficient for the weather conditions we have at the moment.
Yes, that's completely understandable. I will pass the message along. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay. So, look at how much thrust we need to get that airplane moving. But if you look at this apron and at this surface, no way I'm gonna go faster than 5 knots on this. Our airplane is just gonna slip away. The approach controller used minimum separation there, and with a runway that did not have a rapid exit taxiway, that was just impossible for us to make.
Hello, Lufthansa 9 Julian, we welcome to Helsinki.
Anyway, we have made it all the way to Helsinki, even with the cabin pressurization failure. So I would like to thank everybody for watching until here, and hope that you have really enjoyed it. If you did, then like, comment and subscribe, and do let me know what you think about it. Now, we'll continue the taxi all the way to the gate, and I promised you guys that I would answer all the questions after that, so that's exactly what I will do. Let's just quickly find stand number 16, because it looks like the markings are pretty much unreadable as well. You know what? Just get me a follow me. We'll take handling by Swissport. Oh, there they spawn, so that's probably where we have to go.
Starting the APU.
Okay, so, just in case anybody thinks that I have been a little unfriendly to the ground controller, telling him that the approach guy's separation was insufficient, that was by no means meant to be unfriendly or anything the likes, but it was just a fact that looking at the weather conditions in which we are, and a runway that does not have a rapid exit taxiway, there is no way how it can work using separation of 3 miles as the approach controller did. You need to give an allowance for aircraft to slow down to a proper speed to vacate that runway. And as you saw, on a surface like this, we just can't go any faster than we did. So the approach controller needs to take that into account when he applies the separation with the preceding aircraft. Which apparently in this case he didn't. Where's that marshaller going? I don't want to know. Good job, GSX, as always.
APU on the buses.
So, can we find a taxi line somewhere? Yeah, here it is. But look at how hard that is to see. You can barely see something at all. That's what I call weather. Oh, and we're slipping. Look at that. Now, here we go. That's better. I literally need to go 1 knot. Did you see how we've been sliding to the side earlier?
Spinner 1 2 with you, ready.
I literally need to go 1 knot.
Please repeat your request.
Request push start Spinner 1 2 Delta.
Spinner 1 2 Delta, pushback and start up, approved facing north, QNH 9er.
QNH 9er.
This feels strange, going that slow. But you could see how previously, while I tried to turn onto the gate, the nose wheel just started skidding, and we couldn't make that turn. We just couldn't complete the turn. Okay, the marshal is inside.
Lights and doors?
Check. Cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check.
Interesting FS2Crew procedure, by the way, that they want us to disarm the doors while we're still taxiing into the gate. But if they say so, then we'll do it. And here we are. So we have 2 blue, 1 red. Let's go.
Helsinki ground, pilot 200, pushback and start up. Hello, Polar 200, Helsinki ground, pushback and start up east, approach facing northwest, QNH9 and
Shutdown checklist.
Shutdown checklist. Fuel pumps, off. Probe heat, off. Hydraulic panel, set. Flaps,
up.
Parking brake,
set.
Engine start levers.
Cut off.
Weather radar,
off.
Off. Shutdown checklist completed.
Alright, and we've made it all the way down to the ground. So, let's see how well GSX actually parked us here. Well, maintenance needs to come anyway, so this is fine as well then. Maintenance needs to come anyway. Anyway, we've made it all the way to the gate. Now it's time to answer your questions, guys. And it is also time to have a look into that landing on Sim Toolkit Pro. So let's see what my landing was like. I'm just about finishing that flight in Sim Toolkit. Let's give it a second. It didn't record any landing. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, 1 second. Okay, and let's quickly get rid of the ATC so that we have a little bit of silence for us now. Alrighty. So, I'll start with the latest questions first and then we'll work my way backwards. So, 737NG123, is the box of snow around you normal? You mean this one, I guess? Well, no, it's not. No idea why that is here and why the area around does not have any snow. I can't tell you. Looks like a bug to me. Probably a bug in the scenery. Let's go back to the flight deck. That looks a little, well, easier. Then, the B, another question. Would you use asymmetric thrust on really contaminated surfaces to assist steering? Well, honestly, if it was that bad that I can't use nose wheel steering anymore, then I would just about stop the plane and get a tow truck. There is no sense trying to force the taxi. If it's that bad that you need asymmetric thrust, then just stop the plane. There's no sense continuing. Get a truck, let them tow you, then it's not you who's broke the plane. German flight simmer, third question. What about the wipers? Will they be working soon? Well, that is a question that you need to ask for Asobo. Because Asobo has promised since years now that this effect is going to be added, but they just never do it. And in the Phoenix they do work, but that is because Phoenix is using a completely custom animation there. But why would you do that if you already have Why would you use a custom animation if the default one is looking very good already and if the developer, aka Asobo, has promised to do it for years? But well, eventually, maybe, hopefully. 737 and G123, is this sliding in MSFS realistic? Well, yeah. Certainly, in conditions like these, sliding off is something that I would very much expect. Then, German Flight Simmer, second question, is wind shear simulated in MSFS? No, it's not, unfortunately. And German Flight Simmer, serious question, would that slippery apron be simulated in MSFS? Well, as we've seen, the answer is yes, it is. And Michael, what, FS2Crew for PMDG finally? Yep. Brian, is this Payware Helsinki? Yes, it is. MK Studios. Then, yeah, I would love to show you guys the FPM of the landing. Unfortunately, SimToolkit didn't record it. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Then, German Flight Simmer, that looks like a little bit of a spread message there. So, let's start. German Flight Simmer. Cabin pressure problem, which is quite funny because I had a caution today as well, although everything was working normally. Did she program that fault manually? No, I didn't, as Brian said. And German Flight Simmer, then it may be a PMDG issue. Actually, no. During the course of the live stream, one of the PMDG developers has reviewed the stream already, and he actually caught what caused the failure. So what happened there is, during the pre-flight checklist, the flight alt and land alt were set normally, but then during the course of the flight, or rather during the taxi out, FS2Crew, for whatever reason, reset the flight alt to 10,000 feet. And obviously, with the cabin pressure being a thing for the first officer to monitor, I relied on FS2Crew to monitor it, since I did do my normal checklist, and we checked it that it was set up correct earlier on. But because FS2Crew put this one back to 10,000, we ran the differential pressure all the way into the maximum of 9 psi. The safety relief valve opened, and when that happened, the cabin pressure controller went into auto fail because it figured out that it couldn't control the cabin altitude. And that is what caused the failure to happen in first place. And that is not a PMDG bug, but it actually is an FS2Crew bug that has caused this to happen. I did, by the way, do a couple of flights since the latest PMDG update in the aircraft and never encountered anything abnormal unless using FS2Crew. So I'm gonna report this one to Brian as soon as the live stream is finished, and I'm sure he's going to be able to bring a fix for that, hopefully very soon. Okay, a little bit further up, am I using real time? Well, yeah, as the clock says. I just wanted to get a little bit of daylight for you guys for the flight. And the B, as the cabin altitude is at 3000, should you keep the cabin altitude there until opening the outflow valve when passing 3000? Yes, that would have been the best thing to do there. So when I opened the outflow valve on the approach, the cabin was something at 1500, so the cabin altitude increased quickly from 1500 to about 2000 feet. Now that is not a dramatic change, but the passengers certainly would have felt it. Yeah, so that wasn't like ideal handling, but you know, I tend to say for sitting there in a single pilot cockpit, even with FS2Crew, I would say it was kinda okay. And Joel, will SOP2 be an additional purchase, and how many SOPs will there be? To be honest, I don't know either. I can't tell you if it's going to be an additional purchase or if it is going to be, you know. The only thing I can tell you is that SOP2 is going to be my airline, so hopefully that will make things a little bit more familiar by the time we get there. But we'll see about it. Okay, so let's scroll up a little bit more. The B, for later. In the descent, you said you have to adjust the outflow valve because of the changing air density. Is engine power also a factor, or is the output of the packs somehow stabilized? Okay, so basically, as long as the duct pressure is 10 psi or greater in the descent, the output of the packs is constant, so you will always have the same amount of air pumped into the cabin. But since the density of the air outside increases, it means that less air is gonna exit the cabin, and that's why we constantly have to adjust the position of the outflow valve in the descent. So the general idea of the pressurization of pretty much any jet airliner is that the packs provide a constant flow of air into the cabin, and only the amount of air flowing out of the cabin is changed by the outflow valve. And that is how cabin pressurization is controlled. Then Robin, your font of the numbers in the overhead panel at the cruise and landing altitude is different to mine. Do you know how to change it? To be honest, I don't. I'm not even aware of those fonts being different. Actually, I'm not aware of any option regarding those fonts. So my best idea is that for whatever reason you don't have the correct fonts installed for the aircraft at all. So in that case, just reinstall the 737 and be sure to give the installer administrator rights so that the font is actually included. Okay. So, I think I pretty much answered everything. And Juliet, Charlie, Mike, I think 3 SOPs, all separate purchases. Okay, that's a pity if they are separate purchases. And 737 and G123, I was wondering, I've seen Wi-Fi stuff in the PMDG config, but you need airplane mode in your phones, just wondering. Okay, yeah, the Wi-Fi stuff that is available in the real aircraft is basically shut down automatically on the approach. And the stuff that does work there is pretty much exactly the frequencies that are actually not dangerous for aviation. So that stuff is all certified and checked not to have any influences on your aircraft, while personal electronic devices such as mobile phones can have impacts on aircraft systems. That goes especially for phones like the that are 5G equipped, as certain 5G frequencies can interfere with aircraft radio altimeters. But another problem that is commonly known from using phones on board is that you get some disturbing sounds in the headsets of the pilots, like the tick 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 tick. Trrr. You may have known that from older headsets on a computer. When you took a phone and put that very close to a microphone, you've got those sounds, and that is unfortunately a problem that aircraft still have to date. So if the guys in the first row are using their phones, then chances are we can hear it in our headsets. And if you then hear an announcement like, the gentleman in the first row, please put away the phones because the pilots can't hear air traffic control anymore, that is not just a joke to get the people to put their phones away, but that is actually a possible problem. And German flight simmer. So the cabin pressure is not a problem of FS2Crew. I have it as well, and I'm not using it. Should I report it on PMDG's Discord? First of all, PMDG doesn't have a Discord. There is only an unofficial community-run Discord, and not a PMDG official Discord. The only official way to get in contact is using support tickets. Now, please do report your problem, but just be aware that chances are your problems are, well, honestly, interesting, to put it that way. Because I haven't seen any such issue, and I'm sure if it was a general bug, then usually I'm the very first one to run into all the bugs. Just ask Robert Grandasso or any of the developers, and they will tell you that I'm always the first one to run into bugs. Well, obviously I'm not saying that there can't be any, but I would be surprised. I've done a lot of flights without FS2Crew since the latest update, and I never encountered those issues, so I don't know. But yes, by all means, please do submit a support ticket, and maybe PMDG is able to find something that the beta testers have missed. That is certainly possible. Then there was a question a little bit further up, from whom was it? 737NG123. Is the 737 slowing down before top of descent realistic? Yes, it is. The top of descent is the moment where the airplane starts descending. But if the cruise speed is above the descent speed, then it will start to reduce the speed towards the descent speed prior to hitting the top of descent. So the top of descent really is the point where it starts to try to go down. And to see, your videos about the 737 has helped me understand more and fly more realistic. Well, thank you very much. That is exactly what I aim for with these add-ons, or with these videos. So guys, I hope that you have enjoyed today's live stream. If you did, then do leave a like, comment and subscribe, and if you haven't checked it out yet, then do check out the channel membership that I have just brought up. It really gives you the possibility to first of all support me in what I'm doing, but it also gives you access to exclusive content such as some wallpapers for your desktop or your phone, early access to new videos, and most importantly, in first class, you can actually even request me to do certain videos. If you do want to check that out, then I would be very happy to see you in the membership anytime soon. If not, no problem whatsoever. Any video is still going to be available to the general public as well. So, with this, I would like to say thank you very much for watching today. Hope that you have enjoyed the flight. Hope that you have enjoyed this little surprise that I definitely have enjoyed and that I was absolutely not expecting. Chances are I am going to do a debriefing video on this eventually, where I'm going to explain what happened and analyze my own actions. So with this, thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again, hopefully very soon.